sometimes we look at the kids now and say, how did we do it?
How did you do it?
She had to go to the night shift so we can take turns.
You just do it. Whatever challenge, whatever problem come your way, you just have to face it.
Because as immigrants, like we don't come from privilege. Every time there's challenge, it's like we're not gonna go back. We just face it and just attack it and just do it.
Yeah.
That's Vanessa and Noel, a couple that turned sacrifice into legacy and loneliness into life filled with purpose. If you ever wonder what it took to build the American dream from scratch, this episode will move you. Vanessa shared how a childhood dream, sparked by the glittering lights of a casino hill she once mistook for New York City, carried her from the Philippines to America. Vanessa arrived with no money, no family nearby, and barely enough to eat. Yet she built a life brick by brick through sheer resilience. Noel, meanwhile, was a doctor who sold dressed chicken on the side to fund their wedding and a one-way ticket to the US. Together, they faced discrimination, worked endless opposite shifts, one by day, one by night, raising 2 children without babysitters, learning to cook from scratch, and saving every dollar for their family's future. But what happens next, how they turn exhaustion into excellence and the struggle into generational wealth, is the part you don't want to miss. This is a story about grit that doesn't quit, about choosing faith over fear and love over comfort. It's a reminder that legacy isn't inherited, it's built. And by the end of this episode, you'll see how 2 ordinary people built something extraordinary and why the immigrant dream still matters now more than ever. This is the Immigrant Millionaire Investors, a movement rewriting what's possible and proving that immigrants don't just come here to survive, but they come here to rise. I hope you enjoy it. Let's dive in.
So, Vanessa, has it always been your dream to come to the US?
Well, it started when I was a little girl, elementary school. So a casino is up on the hill. And my mom and her sister and our neighbor, who just came from the States, that neighbor, wanted to go to the casino. And I love to joyride. So I said, can I come along? Not in the casino, but, to go. When we drove up there, I looked from the hill to the city and it was like glittering lights. And I just said, wow. New York. Looks like New York. And then that neighbor of ours, she's a little bit snotty, and she said, why, have you been to New York? And I said, no, but one day I will go to New York. So that kind of stemmed from the very beginning, choosing a profession. At that time, I didn't know what I was going to take. But then my sister, the one in California, started going to nursing school. And then I just kind of followed in her steps and I started loving it. And, I said, this is my ticket to go to the US. But after graduating, I worked on the floor as a med-surg nurse. But then basically I worked as a clinical instructor. So I handled students waiting for my chance to come here. So 1992 was my time to come here.
When was it that you went to the casino?
How old were you? Gosh, I must have been like 4th grade.
Wow.
5th grade school.
For someone to have that kind of like confidence at such a young age, it's really rare. And to have someone actually sort of doubt your capacity to do something like that, and you being a young little girl to tell her, oh no, I'm going to be there.
Yeah, because and at that time, Arthur's theme, na 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 na. That was playing in the car.
I don't know the name of the song. I know what it is.
New York was mentioned there, and and then how I found about New York? I love watching movies, American movies. Where else you want to go see, right? So we saw. That's how it all started.
So when did you share that with anyone outside of that person? That after that,
my sisters.
You told her.
My sisters.
How much older are your sisters?
Yeah, my sister in California is a year older than me, but she graduated 2 years ahead of me.
So what did she say when you first told her that?
Well, oh my gosh, I can't even remember. Well, they probably didn't care, but I knew she wanted to come here too. So that's the reason why she took up nursing also. My mom told her, take up nursing. So she did.
So it's really final to nursing and...
Yeah, 2 of my sisters are both accountants. They're accountants. And then my brother, he did engineering, but didn't work as an engineer. And so my sister in California is a nurse, and so am I.
I feel like for Filipinos, it's accounting, nursing, doctor. Those are like the three, right?
Or law.
Yeah,
or
or law.
lawyer.
Like those
Yes.
are like the 4 top professions of all the Filipinos.
A lot of Filipinos are nurses and doctors that come here. And it's not just in the US, but in London, anywhere in the world.
Is it sort of understood that you have to get into those professions to be able to
It's the easiest way.
It's easy
because at that time we know that nursing in the US is supply and demand, and it comes and goes. So there's a year that the demand is very high.
Yeah.
Way back 1987, 1988, the demand was very, very high. And then it just and I graduated 1990.
Yeah.
So the demand wasn't as high as in the late 1980s, but we were still able to come. And I thought I was destined for New York because my agent said, yeah, you're going to go to Brooklyn, Kings County. Kings County. We just have to wait for your papers and all that. And I just thought, okay, here we go. Bye.
So what was it like when you shared that with like, hey, this is part of my plan. I'm going to go. Like, how did you guys feel about that? Were you like, hey, I want you to be here with me. Why are you leaving?
Yeah, but she was so insistent that that's her dream. So I guess she's...
Noelle had no plans.
No dream.
No dream.
No dream. You're like basically a genius.
Oh, genius.
Finished high school at 15.
Yeah, at 15.
It seems like it was just easy for me. I didn't really study. I was just fast.
Wait.
You just take naps.
You didn't really study?
No.
He takes naps in med school.
And I thought I didn't go to school. I would just show up for exams.
I went to his best friend's dorm and he was there sleeping.
What were you thinking? Like,
I don't know. I didn't know him that well yet. So his best friend is my classmate's cousin.
That's how you guys met?
Yeah, that's how we met at my girlfriend's and she's a classmate of mine in nursing. It was her 18th birthday. So that's how we
Were you
met.
sleeping at the time?
Because this is what happened. I don't attend classes. So.
It's on record. Not a good.
I felt like
example for
next
generation.
It's very. So I even told my kids I don't follow that one. But anyway, the reason for that is that I realized that the exams are taken from the teacher's lecture. Yeah. Right? But it's so boring to attend because they're just basically mouthing everything. And so I was just looking for somebody that takes good notes. So I found one. By the time the classes are done, I just photocopied his notes. And then I go home and then, so the whole day so I go to the movies every day. Take a nap in the afternoon, photocopies his notes, and then go home and study, and then go to the next day. That was my routine.
You make it sound like it's like arithmetic or something. This is medical school.
Yeah.
So that's why it's so funny. By the time we are intern, and then now you actually see patients.
Yeah.
So I was just taking exams before left and right, and there's no correlation. So I thought it was so boring because I didn't understand. There's no correlation. I didn't see patients until I was an intern. Yeah. And then I see our teachers. They were our mentors, our teachers, and they were doing rounds with the patients. Yeah. And they see me like, who are you?
They're like, oh my gosh, this is like, who is this guy?
Well, his classmates complain.
Yeah,
they complain.
Really?
They complain because he's not attending. So
they know that you don't show up.
They gave him an exam.
So they asked because there's a lot of people that failed. So half of them. Then so he said, this is not fair. Noelle is not attending classes and he's passing.
So he's cheating the system.
Yeah,
so you were given another exam.
Yeah, so I was told you have to take another one, but it's still pass. So it's like, what can they do? So
the teacher can't do anything. He passed.
Yeah, so that was amazing. So I had a very interesting life in medicine. So I felt like it was very colorful. I really enjoyed my life in med school.
I would too.
I was watching a movie every day.
I was just like, because I imagine like when people like in the medical field in general, it's like really a lot of studying.
Yes, it is.
A lot of studying, yes.
And like you just went to the movies all the time.
Yes.
Yes.
And then I
Sleep.
take naps every afternoon.
But he studies like from
I
Yeah,
study
midnight, right?
usually from 9 or 10 in the evening to 4 o'clock in the morning. So that's my time. So
What is that, like 5, 6
Because it's quiet. Oh, what?
yeah. So I don't know why I just developed that during that time after I take a nap like from 6 to 10 o'clock, and then so my brain is just so open, like I just
Like, when do you sleep?
during the day?
during the day.
Oh.
This is really tasty.
Oh, thank
It's
you.
so good.
You like it? So Noel already started his residency for 2
Yeah.
years, couple of years, and he was already my boyfriend. Did I tell you I made him wait 2 years?
No, so how did that happen?
Wait,
So we met way back in 1987
When-
at my girlfriend's
when you were
birthday party. No, 1987.
when we first met,
Yeah. Well,
you were a second year, right?
yeah, I was second year in nursing.
So
And you were third year med student.
Yeah.
And then people will say, oh my gosh, that's so sweet. Was it love at first sight? Of course not.
we didn't like each other.
No,
the first time.
I know. There was no attraction.
There was
No.
no attraction. Like
Yeah.
she was just blabbing around.
I thought you spot Vanessa and you're
No,
like,
no.
dude.
No, that was October. He saw me. We saw each other again in January. It was a big, we call it sinulog. I don't know, have you been there? It's like a big
ball?
Mardi Gras. And the street.
okay.
And he saw me again. That's when he started liking me. I don't know why.
What changed?
There was a glow in her face, like it's a person. There was a glow.
Just
Aura.
like, yeah.
That was so it's like I think I know her
Yeah, that
before.
was January.
But then the first time I was like
Uh-huh.
she was just talking too much, and then
So when you met her the first time, it was just like one time meeting or keep meeting?
No, just like the one in October.
Yeah.
Well, that was just one time. And we didn't see each other again until January.
He was too sleepy. He didn't wake up yet.
I don't know. I was sleeping. I didn't know. I was focused with my schooling. Remember, America? Yeah,
America, yes, New
America.
York.
So yeah,
she was more
busy.
very determined. That's
Yeah.
what she wants to do.
And then February came, Valentine's.
Oh, that was.
He just he called me and said, "You want to invite me for dinner and disco?"
Wait a minute. Were you nervous?
To ask? No, I wasn't nervous. I was already like, what is it, 23?
Yeah.
You're not nervous anymore.
You were in third year med school. I third year. And then I said, but he started calling me, on the phone. And of course, there was no cell phone at the time. So home phone. And I did ask my mom permission. And my mom says, I don't know who that guy is. No. So when he called me that night and said, are you coming? And I said, no. Why? Because my mama said no. Yeah.
Why did your mom say no?
Because he didn't know him. I mean, she hasn't met him yet.
She's
and-
also, they have a sick family.
My mom, you can go out during the day,
Yeah.
but when it comes to nighttime, don't even ask permission. She will not let you go out the house. Stay home. So my life was home, school, church.
Wow.
That was my life.
So your mom, like, what was her profession?
My mom was a home economics teacher, home economics, but she did not work that. She was in business. We had a rice mill that her family owned in another province, and she was the one running that one.
Oh, wow.
So was she going back and forth a lot?
She was going back and forth because my grandma lived with us, her mom. But when my grandma passed away, she says, well, I need to watch out for my kids. I can't be far away because my father was also like traveling for his work. And so she stayed put. Yeah. And let her sister run the rice mill.
When my grandfather on my dad's side moved to Thailand, he worked at a rice mill in Thailand.
Okay.
So like he went from China and then like
Almost to Singapore.
he went to Singapore. My grandmother didn't allow him to go to Thailand. So we're Thai, but he couldn't go to
Or
Thailand.
else we would have been Singapore.
So so he said, okay, fine, I'll do what you want. So he went to Singapore. But then he's like, but in his mind, like kind of like you,
I'm gonna make a way.
I'm making my way to Thailand. So yeah, he worked for a mill.
Good for him.
Yeah.
Good for him. Yeah.
So oh my gosh, that's so interesting. So like
Yeah. So in March, I don't know, like the next month, he asked me again to go out. And I said, okay. So we went to just like a snack thing. And then he asked me to be his girlfriend.
Right away. He knew what he liked.
I mean, like,
I'm not going to waste time.
Be his girlfriend. And I said, no. I just shut him down. I said, no. And he says, why? I said,
He even asked why.
oh my God. Like, what? I'm not good enough? Like, you don't like me? Because he started calling me already. So I started to get to know him, but not really know him. But then I said, no, I want to focus on my schooling. I don't want to be distracted with relationships.
You're so
So I'm so focused. See, New York. That's it. New York. I want to come to America.
So when you got here, was it like culturally like shocking or was
big time. We were discriminated. Oh, I can tell you stories.
at workplace?
Milwaukee, Wisconsin. We were the very first foreign graduate nurses.
Wow.
I employed in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, way back in 1992.
In the whole city?
I guess so.
The whole city.
Yeah.
Wow. So like they have like a recruiting office in the Philippines.
No, our recruiter is from California.
Oh, okay.
Teresa. And so she has connections and everything. And this hospital, Northwest General Hospital, is about to declare Chapter 11 bankruptcy.
Oh, wow.
Because it's a small community hospital. And because of nursing shortage, they were employing agency nurses.
Okay, which is more
And they're
expensive.
very
Yeah,
expensive.
very expensive.
And they cannot survive. She presented we can do this, nurses from the Philippines. And so there were 10 of us.
So like, did they have like a booth at your school or something?
Oh, no. Teresa knows my sister because she was also my sister's agent. And then she just picks the best student from different schools in the Philippines to bring up here. So to bring here. The other Filipino nurses, they're like clinical instructors also in a different school, nursing school over there. There were 10 of us and we worked hard and studied at the same time. And then, but our mentors, our preceptors were the agency nurses. Of course, their jobs were threatened. So they gave us really, really poor evaluation.
Oh, that's
How
not
did
good.
we know? Yeah, they were about to deport us. They had a board meeting and they were ready to deport us.
Yeah.
And so the good thing, two of the board members were Filipino doctors.
Oh,
An ER doctor and a cardiologist.
Lucky.
And so the cardiologist called us and says, where are you? Are you in your apartment? I'm going to come and have a meeting with you. So he did come and asked that, okay, it says there in the evaluation that we don't know how to auscultate for lung sounds. We don't know how to auscultate for bowel sounds. We don't know how to give insulin shots. I mean, come on. So he found out that it was false. And so he presented that back to the boards. And then to eliminate the agency nurses being preceptors, so they had the director of nursing, the manager for ICU, and our clinical educator as our preceptor. So they divided us into 3 groups. So if you work the night shift, they work the night shift with us.
Just to make sure they actually see what you do.
Yes.
Wow.
And of course, and they found out that was false.
So when you were preparing to come to the US, what were your perception of what the US was, and then how that changed when you actually landed?
Well, I wanted to come to a big city. Well, Milwaukee is a big city, but if you look at the Milwaukee on the plane, there's really no big
Compared to New York.
Compared to New York. What is this? What have we gotten ourselves into? Okay, this is one perfect example. On the plane from LA to Milwaukee, I sat beside this elderly couple. They woke me up and said, it's time for you before they feed you. And when I opened, it was mac and cheese. We don't have mac and cheese in the Philippines. And I said, what is this? I thought it was the most disgusting thing that I've ever eaten. So that's one. And then they put us in a house. They rented a house for us, which is 2 bus rides to the hospital. And we're not used to that. It's either we walk or we take public transportation that goes us from, and it was so difficult. We lived with our landlord and, we got lost of our first day of orientation. And so we moved to an apartment. Yeah, it's a little bit of a culture, differences in culture. And I don't know, I was assigned in the ICU, and our supervisor, who was a guy, I think his name is Chuck, and he just said, oh, Philippines, do you still live on trees?
Oh.
And I thought he was joking. And he wasn't. And I said, oh my God, we've got malls bigger than your biggest mall here in America. It's just like, okay, then maybe it was just like ignorance.
Yeah.
Because it's Milwaukee. Maybe they're not used to seeing us, Yeah.
We had the same thing. Like when I was younger, they would ask, like, do you still ride elephants? In Thailand.
Okay.
So I totally understand, but
I was like, what do you think of us, Tarzan and Jane in the Philippines? Like,
It's just understandable. Most of them, they just don't know.
they're just like not exposed yet.
Yeah, they didn't expect.
So that's what's
Globalization hasn't really like
didn't catch on them.
Yeah.
So that's really interesting how like you didn't anticipate having those type of experiences.
it would have been different if we were in New York. New York is so used to seeing Filipino nurses.
Yeah.
Even my sister worked in Manhattan.
Yeah.
So we will be welcomed. It's just like any ordinary day. Maybe we're just like, and there will be Filipino food restaurants over there in Milwaukee. We couldn't even find any at that time. Maybe they probably have now. At the time, they were not. But at the time, no.
So what did you guys eat like the first year?
Well, Noel wasn't there yet.
Yeah.
I was hungry all the time. I didn't know how to cook. You think I could make all the? I probably know how to boil eggs, but we didn't know because we didn't have any transportation.
Yeah.
So we just walked from our apartment, and it's a lot of walking. And it was already July, going into winter. Oh, it was very challenging. As I told you, blood, sweat, and tears, crying, plus loneliness I think is a killer. Very, very lonely, and you get so homesick.
Were you able to call home a lot at that time? I don't think
It
so.
was expensive.
God, one of my very first paycheck all went to AT&T because
Very expensive.
very expensive at that time. We didn't have any, now it's so easy now.
Then you were here, but your sister was in New York. Did you meet her at all the first year, or
No, I did not meet her the first year.
so it was almost like just dropped?
Well, not the first year, not in 1992, but we flew back home together in February because we got married. Yeah, so I was
year
here only
after.
for 6 months.
6 months.
I came in July. We were the last ones to take the board exam in nursing that's not computerized yet. So we were this all had 2 days. After the second day of exam, I flew to New York. My sister and I flew back home to the Philippines, and then just a couple days later, then we had the wedding.
So you planned to have the wedding at that time.
He prepared all the wedding. I had nothing to do with it.
I've never done it, but I was the only one that prepared it.
He prepared the whole thing. He and his family spent for the entire thing. I have no money,
You showed up.
I just showed up. So jet lagged. On my wedding night, I slept.
So wait, after marriage, how long did it take for you to move to the US?
Oh, we went to the embassy right away. So
Yeah, like 2 days later, and went to the embassy, and they would just give us the visa.
because it's all
then it was
legal.
pizza.
It's all
You know,
legal.
you have to prove you have to prove that there's communication, that you're really together. So we kept a lot of letters, and you have to show.
And phone calls.
yeah.
All the money.
Everything. They have to verify that they
You
did not
invested in him.
I mean, it's a gamble for. I mean, I don't know because when we arrive, we don't know if we're gonna be successful. So it's
for someone that did not have any plans of coming, and for him to stop, he was supposed to go into his third year residence in pathology.
Yeah.
And he quit.
Oh,
So
wow.
he could prepare for the wedding. Yeah, so he
To
could
start
prepare for the
for the
wedding.
wedding.
And then
get money.
and save money and for us to come.
How did you save money? Oh, by not going to school?
No. As soon as I resigned from residency, I was selling dressed chicken. Dressed chicken.
So basically, there's chicken that you go and you cook, like
They're for
chicken.
rotisserie?
Yeah, like they do stuff. They remove some stuff inside, like rotisserie chicken.
That's scary.
These are, I don't know exactly that, but that was the term they used for dressed chicken.
Oh my God. From doctor
That's
to...
correct. Yeah. So, but the thing that I realized is that I have connections with the hospital because I know the administrator. So I went and approached them and said, like, hey, I'm going to supply you with dressed chicken because obviously chicken is one thing that, they cook it for the entire cafeteria. So they get a lot. And so I said, I'm going to sell you. And then they asked me, what's your price? How much are you getting for your dressed chicken? And so I basically just told them a much lower price. So they said, okay, we're going to go with you.
Were they shocked when you told them like resident Hey, I'm here to sell chicken. How did that?
And your parents.
Yeah, how did that go?
I mean, I just did it myself.
But did your parents? Okay, they knew you're gonna come, so
My parents knew that I'm going to go with her.
yeah.
Mhm.
So they understood that. That's why
Yeah.
I resigned.
Like regular people who know you as, hey, this guy is going places to be
That's
a
right.
doctor. How did they take the?
So they were shocked, like what happened, and and then that's why I usually say, well, I'm eventually going to move to the United States, and I'm getting married, so I have to get some money for the wedding.
How did they look at you? They wasn't like
wondering
like what's
what's going on.
because like you said, it's a risk on both your parts.
Yeah.
Because not only is this a new like taking the relationship to like the new level, like a permanent level,
Yeah.
but you're also at the same time have to adapt to a new everything, new
Right.
culture, new life,
Correct.
new job, new everything.
Mm-hmm.
So both of you had to have such strong convictions that this has to work.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we felt like that we can make it work for
Yeah.
sure, but it's just sometimes you're just questioning how long
It's gonna take
it's gonna take us for us to make it work.
like the process.
But we knew that we're gonna make it work.
Is it because of your professions that you knew it's going to work, or is it because of you two that you felt like it'll work?
Well, we knew at that time it's difficult when you are in that situation. It is so difficult to even imagine that you will be successful in the future. It is so difficult to
Can you
even imagine that we will be able to buy a house, we will be able to buy a car.
Yeah.
No, in fact, when we borrowed money to buy our very first, not our second car, I couldn't sleep for days.
Yeah.
Because I'm not used to borrowing money. It was so hard. But at that time, it was hard, very hard life.
So the biggest thing for us, that's why it makes, I guess, a little bit easier for us to be successful is because of our profession.
Yeah.
Oh, and the other thing too is discrimination, right?
Yeah.
So you know how much they paid us? $13 an hour. Okay, when we passed the board exam, they just up it up to $1. So $14. And we knew no better until a new graduate nurse came. And we found out she was paid $25, $26 per hour. And we have more experience. We were the one precepting these new students, and they were paid a lot more than us. They made money out of us.
Like almost like double.
Yeah.
Yes. And so we kind of protested. We said, this is not, we're so meek. It's just like being like Asian, like, we just have to take it. But then we at that time, we say, I think this is not right. So we kind of protested, and they called us like one-on-one in the CEO's office. And they tried to, so they increased it to $16 an hour. At that time, I didn't care because we were leaving. We already got into a residency program. Because if you stayed longer, then I would, we would fight it more.
Yeah.
Was it hard for you to get into the residency program?
So it's as a foreign medical graduate, it's always hard because you have to compete to the medical graduates here, the U.S. medical graduates. So that means you have to be better than them. So either you have really good grades or you have good experience and references. So those are the things that can up you up.
The good thing about Noel, he's smart. So he passed his board exam. There's 3 steps.
Yeah.
And they're not cheap.
I was studying there.
How much are they? How much were they?
At the time, it was $800, which is a lot of money.
I know about
And you don't
$1,200
wanna-
right now.
Yeah, it's $1,200.
So each time you take the exam, you had to pay $800.
Wow.
Wait,
And then
who
we
paid?
have-
You paid?
I did.
So I wasn't
the one
working.
And I was
she was the
working like
sugar mama.
crazy. I worked in like 16 hours. Sometimes I worked,
So that was the reason at the time I know how to cook because I was
Yes, the learn.
so I was cooking.
And we gained a lot of weight because it's all fried food. That's all
So,
we
yeah.
knows how to do, like fried spam and everything was fried. So,
So we were used to doing spam.
yeah.
Oh, I
So he
love
was
spam.
cooking and he was studying.
Well, but that was we're used to.
And our if they look at us like this, they said, "Oh my gosh!" I said, "No. Our very first apartment, we only had one single, not even a bed, a mattress.
Yeah.
We have no dining set. We have like, we called it the balikbayan box, like a big box that we bring our stuff here. That was our table, our dining table.
So that was something you brought from the Philippines?
No, because we bought our stuff.
Our stuff in boxes. We didn't have any dining table.
So you couldn't your clothes.
No sofa,
Wait,
nothing.
you didn't have luggages.
No, we have luggage, but then we have also to bring our pictures, wedding pictures, and all our stuff. So
his books.
books.
Put in boxes.
And so those were boxes.
So and we couldn't afford furnitures at that time,
Yeah.
and the only one.
No, but we were also thinking that it's only temporary for us. So it's like we thought like, why would we buy furniture?
Yeah,
we know that
we don't know. Yeah, we wouldn't know where we're gonna go.
So we
right?
felt like, why would we buy
where he's gonna be matched for his residency? We wouldn't know. So that was, I think, wise for us to do that. It was easier
we
to
saved
move.
some money.
Was it
Save
hard
money.
to live in that kind of condition while you were going through it? Like now,
Is it weird? I just got
Do we
married
have
to
a
this guy.
choice? No.
and other nurses were living like this as well?
No.
No, they're all,
they furnished
they're all
their
furnished.
apartments.
Their apartments
Yeah.
are so beautiful now.
But they didn't have anybody to pay for
I know, that's what I said.
the exam. That's $800. Okay, that's not just exam. To apply for residency, you have to pay per application.
Yeah.
And
You
you have
apply
to
for
fly.
rent a car, to fly, the hotel, the
Take
food.
your test in Milwaukee.
No, for the interview,
For the interview,
you have to go for wherever.
You
So
fly. Okay.
he was everywhere. He got interviewed at Yale. He got interviewed so many hospitals in New
Every
York.
time is like money, just not just food,
ATM
shelter.
machine.
Exactly, right?
so I should have.
When she was saying other nurses, like, I'm like, but they didn't have it.
Yeah. That's
Yeah, they didn't have Noel, like Noel's profession. And
Oh.
so, well, the thing is, he supported me by coming here, you know.
So I was the driver, I was the cook, and then so I cleaned.
Yeah, he
So I was doing everything.
Resident chicken seller.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Cool.
Yeah.
And clean.
And then
Boom.
Yeah, he was doing all that until then he got matched at Beaumont Hospital in Michigan.
Yeah.
And that's why we moved from Milwaukee to Michigan.
Was it still as cold?
In the hospital where I matched, it's basically the same as Milwaukee.
Yeah.
Until we move up north, and that's why it's really cool.
We moved up north
Yeah.
when he got done with his, before he
That was
finished
my
his
first job.
residency, he had
First
three.
job.
You had
How many
3
years
or
is
4 job
residency?
offers.
Normally it's 5 years,
Yeah.
but then I finished mine in 4 years. So
now he's bragging.
No, not. Yeah, I'm like,
no, because of my
Yeah.
experience.
Uh-huh.
Because I remember I had 2 years.
Yes.
So they,
Yeah.
they felt like they wanted me to stay. It's like, but then I said, well, I should get credit for the 2 years because I was in the Philippines, and they said, oh, okay, so I'll give it to you.
Vanessa, when you came here, did you know English?
Yeah, we
Oh,
were
so-
taught English in the Philippines.
Okay, so
Yeah.
it was
English
Our-
is like really
Our our educational system in the Philippines is patterned after the American system, not the British.
okay.
So to come here, I had to take, of course, my Philippine Nursing Board exam.
Yeah.
I have to take the CGFNS exam, which is the Certified Foreign Graduate Nurses exam, and then I have to take the NCLEX, which is the board exam of nursing here in the U.S.
And you took all those in the Philippines?
The CGFNS was in the Philippines, and then the NCLEX was here.
And were they like, did you spend a lot of time studying for them or?
Yeah, I studied, and at the same time I work. When I was in Milwaukee, it took me that 6 months to really study for the board exam and then work at the same time. So needless to say, no sleep. I can get only like a couple hours sleep, and I have to go again for another 16-hour
I don't know how I can do that because it's such a
blood, sweat, and tears.
because nursing is such a tough profession.
It is.
And like my grandparents have been hospitalized a few times, and I don't know if you guys are trained that way or the way they select people, but everyone is so caring. I can tell
and patient.
I can tell that they are taking the best care of my grandparents.
Yeah.
Like I can see that in their eyes.
Yeah.
Like every single one, like you said, so patient.
Yeah.
Is that trained or is that just the type of people that go for
Not
the
all
profession?
nurses are like that.
Yeah.
It has, let me tell you, I've worked with nurses that's just there for the money.
Yeah.
But there are also a lot of nurses that are very compassionate
Mm.
and that you really care for your patients. Yeah. And I work in the ICU, and I love my profession. I love my job. I was a critical care nurse for a long time.
That's a tough.
And then 2003, I switched to what we call vascular access or IV therapy. So I love poking people.
Oh, so you're very good at it.
Oh, I'm very good at it.
She has like it's hard to find her veins.
Yeah.
Oh.
And they always like poke her like.
She's very good.
I saved a life on a Korean Airlines from Chicago to
Tell me about
Korea.
it. How did that
So
happen?
we went home December 25 because his mom died in Maryland, brought the body to the Philippines. And so all four of us flew on Christmas Eve.
Yeah.
No, Christmas Day.
Yeah.
Korean Airlines. And as soon as we boarded the plane from Chicago, there was an announcement and said, any doctors, any nurses on the plane, we need your help, And I didn't do anything. I did not say anything. And he didn't either.
Wait, that's what you're saying.
And then this is funny. And then my daughter looked at me and says, Mom, aren't you going to help? And of course you have to set an example to your daughter who was like 11 years old at the time.
Oh my goodness.
And I stood up and I said, aren't you going to help? And he says, why, is she dead? Yeah. Okay, the reason why he said that.
You know what pathology, right?
You know what pathology does, right? They do autopsies. And so he doesn't really.
She's not available. I only help them when they're dead.
Yeah.
Oh my
And
goodness.
so,
if there's a heartbeat, don't talk to me.
No, don't talk to me. That's how my...
That's not my department.
and he kept saying, my patients don't talk to me.
My patients are always happy. I've never heard a complaint. They're always happy. They're always satisfied. So that is like, that I can say for sure.
So it was a 30-year-old. It was a 30-year-old lady, a woman,
she's
severely dehydrated. So it already started in Chicago. She was like, and then they laid a blanket in the back of the plane, and then she was already laying there like, severely dehydrated. And then I said, so where's your, and there were only two of us that responded. One was a first-year resident in plastic surgery. And then me. And so, and he says, so the flight attendant was bringing this kit, and I said, okay. And I said, I have to ask the captain permission to open it. I said, then
go.
So it came back open. Guess what? They only have one angio cap. That means I only have one chance. And she's not a skinny one. She's a little bit of a bigger one.
That means her veins are
collapse now.
They collapse. It's hard. But I don't go by seeing. I go by feeling. And that's why I said, like, I'm good at what I do. So
how was
I
that?
just got it.
So how did you feel? Were you nervous?
Yeah, with all the turbulence.
Yeah, like
I said, can you tell the captain not to make it a little smoother, right? Yeah. So and then so they have one, and then I got it in, got the IVs in, but I did tell them that you need to update your kit.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I explained to them, why you need more than one angiocath there. You need more. They have two bags, which is fine, an LR and an S, which is okay, but they need to have more than one. What if I couldn't get it?
Yeah.
We're screwed.
So that flight was transit to Korea.
Yeah.
So
we flew from Michigan to Chicago, right? Spent the night in Chicago, then flew Chicago to Korea.
So did they divert the plane or
no?
Ah, so you also
but she got revived.
She gets revived.
Dehydration.
That was a party.
Yeah. But before, when we landed, she was the first one to go out. But before, they called me again, and then they said, "Can you come check her IV, make sure everything is okay?" So I went there. They didn't even give me an extra cookie or anything.
I was gonna say, did they announce?
No upgrade, not even a cookie.
Not even like here's some credits for saving
snacks, nothing. But it's okay. We don't need any recognition. I just like the fact that I told my daughter
for our kids, the kids, they were happy. They were happy that we had.
But it's like, Mom, aren't you gonna?
Yeah, Mom, I just gotta help.
Especially our daughter.
She's dead.
They always just laugh like, "Oh, Dad's not gonna do." The patient is still.
They know what Dad does, so yeah.
Oh,
That's why, yeah.
When you were in the Philippines, would you have imagined that scenario would be something that what you learned how to do would eventually get, become something so important?
you saved someone's life just because of that.
Not just me, but being a nurse, you always save lives. Working in critical care, we save lives. We are the first one. If there's a code blue, we are the first ones there. I don't know how many lives I have saved, just responding to that, working in critical care. I mean, I've been a nurse for 35 years. So yeah.
How come you chose to do like critical care versus other type of nurse? You like the adrenaline like rush?
Yeah, you're young and you just want the challenge and all that. And my sister too, it kind of was a big influencer because she worked critical care. She was a CCRN. So to become a CCRN, you have to take an exam. You can be an ICU nurse, but you want to go up. You have to take another board exam for that, and which I did. I was very pregnant and I took it.
Wait, what? You were pregnant and you had to take more?
Yeah. I was pregnant with Isabel and we moved here in 1996 and I took the exam, which means that was still not computerized and I have to keep going to the bathroom. But they were fine because they saw me with my preggy belly.
So were you working at the time as well?
Oh yeah.
So you were working, pregnant, and studying for a board exam
for CCRN for critical care. That's just like an advanced.
So but you were doing all the things.
Yes.
Wait, what happened to the husband?
Oh, he's busy. He was busy.
When we had the kids, we never had any babysitter. So we went through this process of so I go to work for residency in the morning, 8 o'clock to 5 or 6 o'clock, and she goes. So she had to go to the night shift.
I work nights,
so we can take turns. We can take turns watching
night shift.
Yes, night shift. It was night shift. But then we have Isabel at the time. So by the time we see each other, she just hands me the baby, Isabel, and I take care of her the whole night. And then in the morning, I give her the Isabel. So that was our routine for at least 1 or 2 years, right?
Yeah, we've never had the two kids, no babysitter, no daycare. We took care of our kids,
and because
we were both hands on.
And because if it's back in the Philippines, you have family.
That's right.
Family, you can get nannies. We call them yaya.
Yeah. And here it was like. Everything it was just the two of you. You had to do everything,
and not because it's we can work and pay for a babysitter, but me being so paranoid, I am so paranoid. Kids are so precious. You can't just leave them with anybody. It's just him and I, and we have no family here. Yeah.
Wow.
So I learned to sleep standing up.
Oh, seriously?
Because our daughter was every time. At nighttime, she would start crying the whole night unless you carry her and then just hold her. So what I did is I carry her and then basically just lean on the wall.
And my daughter slept so well during the day for me. Because come midnight till 5 a.m. she's awake and crying. And I said, Isabel, you kept on crying like you don't stop. But you have a sister that was like that too. No matter what you do, nothing can pacify. They said that their colic or whatever, you do everything for a colicky baby, nothing works. So Isabel was a difficult baby. And we thought, I said, this is it. No more.
Some more, but
and then Nico came.
Another Sunny.
Well, Nico was we didn't expect.
That was unexpected.
How far apart are they?
27 months. 27 months.
But he also stand up sleeping?
No. So he was completely opposite. He would just sleep the whole time. Don't want to be bothered. If you bother him, wake him up because you have to feed. He would start crying. So you guys,
no eating.
No eating.
What about during the day? Was he also like that?
Oh, Nico?
Yeah.
Oh, he takes 4-hour naps, which is okay with me because I work the night shift.
Yeah.
But I have a toddler that's an insomniac. Isabel will not take naps. Oh, she was a big problem child. Oh my gosh. I don't know. But Nico can take 4-hour naps, but then I have this toddler here who won't take a nap. It's like, So, two different.
So your life has always have challenges.
A lot of challenges. Yeah. Now we look back, sometimes we look at the kids now and say, how did we do it?
Yeah.
How did we do it? Yeah.
And how did you do it? Like, what was it? Just like this?
Yeah, you just do it. You just do it. Whatever challenge, whatever problem come your way, you just have to face it.
I think that's like the difference between like immigrant and just non-immigrant, because as immigrants, like we don't come from privilege. So like, so like we have to have a lot of delayed gratification. We sacrifice a lot. And then every time there's challenge, it's like, we're not going to go back. We just face it and just attack it and just do it.
Yeah.
Right, Paul?
So like delayed gratification, is that something that you guys had because you had those goals already? Or is it like something you developed? Like when you were a kid, were you less patient wanting stuff right away? Or like how did you end up having that kind of mindset?
It's you need to learn. It's a learning experience.
Yeah.
It's all about learning, because in the Philippines, labor there is very cheap.
Yeah.
Just like in Thailand, you can get a maid.
Yeah.
And so we don't do anything except we focus on studying and just study. They take care of everything. Over here, that's another big cultural, I don't know, did you experience that? Did you grow up in Thailand?
Yeah, so we had babysitters in Thailand, my parents and maids,
and maids.
A lot of them.
Yeah.
But then like here we had no.
And here you do everything.
Mom and dad do everything.
So it's like another big shock for us. We do everything. So, and then now with kids, we have no choice. Isabel's already here. So we just have to show her back. So, and Nico. So we just do the best. But were we patient when we were back home? I was the youngest. I was the youngest of 5 kids. Not spoiled, nothing. I don't know.
My dad always emphasizes that we always save money. And so I always argue with him about that one, because so I like to spend. But then my dad was always like, any money. He would explain to me why there's a rationality for why you save money, because this is for something.
Yeah. And if you were not patient before, you learn how to be patient. You really have to learn. You need to adapt into your whatever circumstance or whatever situation you are in. You need to learn how to adapt, because otherwise it's not going to work. And the most important thing is you support each other no matter what. Coming to disciplining the kids, we have to agree. And that's one good thing Noel and I have. We do, I don't know how we get along. We just get along. Like, we've been married like almost 34 years. So it's like, we just get along.
That's like the pillar. Like you have very different personalities, but it fits together. Yeah. Because otherwise it's like, if you don't have the rock, need to be able to lean on each other. Yeah. With all the things you went through, you probably would have left already. Maybe one of you may be like, I don't want to do this anymore. I can have maids at home. Why am I doing this?
That's correct.
And Noel likes to spend. Perfect example.
He likes to spend? Oh my God.
Oh, he likes to spend his money. So his very first, way back in the Philippines when he was a resident, his very first paycheck, he bought a watch. The cost of more than what he earned.
He went to debt.
I was shocked because my very first paycheck, I put it in a CD. Oh, I just took a little bit out so I can buy ice cream for my family to treat them. Oh. And then here he is. And I said, why are you? I said, oh my gosh, we're going to go bankrupt, but you have to learn too. He learned too. Yeah, I'm frugal.
No, but that's interesting that both you had that mindset, because most people growing up, no one really talks about money. So we don't know how to handle it. That's why Noel. Yeah, most people would be like, Noel, first paycheck, hey, what's the biggest, fanciest thing I can buy? And you did literally the opposite. It's so hard. Yeah. You literally here's a big chunk. I'm gonna take this little piece and find happiness in just celebrating something that is like a little ice cream.
Yeah. I'm good at saving.
She's very good at it.
I'm very frugal.
When you think about it, a lot of people are now great at making money, but what people don't have is your kind of mindset that, hey, once I make money, I invest, I put it so that it keep growing, have the money, have a career. Yeah. Most of the people are like us, hey, we make the money, we're great at making money, and we just go spend. And I think that's why we love real estate, because it really help shift that mindset.
Right.
Yeah.
Because we still spend, but now we buy real
That's
estate.
right.
Yeah,
That's right.
yeah, that's right.
Right. Instead of buying liabilities, instead of like,
Yeah.
like being in bad debt, we're actually like in good
Yeah.
debt, buying assets that, hey, we can go out and buy more stuff.
And Noel has changed a lot through the years because he knows that he needs to save money because our kids are not cheap kids. Both of them went to University of Michigan. That's not cheap.
Yeah.
No, plus Nico went further and went to med school, and that's not cheap at all. And he paid for everything.
So we had to save a lot of-
So we had to save a lot of money. We had to learn to save.
But the kids also, like, we emphasize, like, oh, I can't buy you this because, remember I was saying 4 years free. So they keep arguing.
Did you feel like it was difficult to impart that immigrant grit to your kids who were born here? How did you guys feel when you were like getting, you're pregnant, you're they're coming, but it's like, how did you like feel like, oh my gosh, are they gonna be spoiled?
We have to instill Filipino values.
Yeah.
Our values, our culture, we have to instill it in them, our faith.
Yeah.
Because we know, we are aware that when they grow, there will be a lot of influence, not just from school, from friends, from other from the environment, but at least they have that core.
Yeah.
They have that core faith. You don't need to go to church like every Sunday like we do, but as long as you have the faith, it's all good enough. You pray, that's good enough for me. But you can't like push them. But at least you instill them those values, and they're learning from it.
And you do that by do you talk to them about it, or what do you show them? Like, how do you kind of instill those values?
Oh, since they were little, we pray together. So we take them to church. Every Sunday we take them to church. We bring them to a Filipino group, right? It's called Inauska. So we bring them to a Filipino gathering so they can meet other Filipinos. They can see, and then we bring them to the Philippines also so they can see that not all people live like this. Like good, there's a lot of poor people. Yeah. So, yeah.
Because I think that's one of the hardest things is like you have the not quit grit, but like how most parents that we talk to are worried about, hey, I've made it. What's going to happen to my kids? Because a lot of times like you want to protect them, but then you end up actually making them basically unable to like be an adult.
Well, the most important thing is these kids know communication is important.
Yeah.
And we have to be open-minded.
Yeah.
Being Asian, we're a little bit close-minded to a lot of things, right? But you have to learn. We also have to adapt. We have to be open-minded so they will open up to us. They can talk to us freely about anything, whether it's their faith, it's their relationship, their love lives, because they are so open with their love lives to us.
Yeah. They are
Oh, yeah.
Which is amazing.
Which is amazing.
Because we are not like that.
We were not like that. We can't talk to our parents about, dating and all that, or somebody, or you get a broken heart.
Yeah.
If you get broken heart, our kids, both of our, both of my kids experience being brokenhearted. So, and they were so open to us about it.
So that's like part of the American culture that you guys adapted. That was like something you embraced, that hey, this more openness, the family bonding over like having real conversations about things that you typically don't talk about. That's something that you guys embrace as part of the American culture.
That's just one of them too. Yeah, that's just one. Communication is important. Just like in any relationship, communication is important.
Was that intentional or just sort of happened? Just like openness?
It has to be intentional.
Okay.
Because we Asian really are like, we're not really open. I mean, you can't really talk.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't talk to your parents.
Yeah, even now.
We're not free. We're not like that. But we have to learn. We have to, we talk about it, and we said we need to be open to our kids. We need to learn. Sometimes it's difficult for me. I'm an Asian, Asian tiger mom. And then he keeps me grounded. Yeah, he will. And if I can't, I discipline the kids, and sometimes they don't listen to me anymore because I'm just like a big nagger. And so, I talk to him, and then he talks to the kids. So it's more of like a support.
That's so amazing. And I like that dynamic. So it's like, hey, I can imagine he comes in smiling like, hey, no big deal. Okay, we something like that. Like mom just like gave you the right to act, and then dad is like, all right, tell me. Don't worry about it. It's okay. Kind of like that. And almost mischievous, like kind of like, like, okay, let's go do something fun. Kind of.
Perfect example.
Yeah.
Tennis. Both of my kids are in varsity tennis.
Okay.
They don't want me to watch them.
No?
No.
Uh-huh.
In fact, they tell me, Mom, like my daughter will tell me not to watch her.
Yeah.
And then my son will look at me and says, Mom, you can watch me, but when I make a mistake, can you not like raise your eyebrow? And I said, you can see my eyebrow, like
from really far away.
like you can see. So they're in tune to our facial expression. They love Dad watching them because whether they make a mistake, Dad's like, I tell Isabel, you run like a girl. And she says, oh, I'm a girl. You know, you can hustle, sweetheart. You can hustle. You know, very competitive nature. So that's it. And Noel is so laid back. You know, whether you make a mistake or you win, you lose, he's cheering. You're like, oh yeah, you did a great job. And if it's just big, you know, if just us, the kids not listening, I said, they didn't do a good job. They suck. They didn't play well. You know, but I can't tell the kids that, right? Yeah. You can't tell the kids that. It didn't hurt their feelings or whatever. So I tell him, and he goes, it's okay. They'll do better next time.
You're just kids.
Yeah, that's him. It's okay. They'll do better next time.
Yes.
And he'll tell the kids.
You know, your dream originally was to go to New York, and you didn't go to New York
No.
to work, right?
No.
And like, so what was that like when you were like, hey, I'm not going to go to New York anymore. I'm going to go to Michigan. Did you feel like, okay, it's all right? Or did you feel kind of like saddened?
Oh, no, not sad at all. Because it's not like I've never been to New York. So we visit, because my sister lived in Manhattan. Yeah. So we go visit her and go see different places, tour New York. That was one place I did not want to live. No. So and moving to Michigan, and of course my life is with him now. So wherever he goes, I go with him. And I think I believe in destiny. Yeah, I believe in destiny. I was not destined for New York. Can you imagine from New York to Milwaukee? Yeah, cheesehead. Yeah. So and then moving to Michigan, I think it was meant to be. Yeah. And then he had 4 job offers before he finished his residency. That's how good he is.
But it's all in New York, so I didn't want to go.
Not New York?
Oh, the job offers.
The job
it's
offer.
it's for
Illinois.
Yeah, it's for Illinois and
Ohio. The one in,
and
downstate.
In Michigan,
and 2 in Michigan. Yeah. And he accepted northern Michigan. We thought we could escape the cold. No.
He's like,
we went colder.
Let's go coldest.
Colder in a small town, like redneck town. Like redneck.
So I don't know if you live in...
Why did you... No, we've only lived in Southern California.
So you're in a community, it's really diverse.
Yeah.
So, sunshine.
In Petoskey, where we first time I accepted the job, 90% are white. So we are the only Filipinos in the entire hospital. So it's a big, but then we were comfortable. I mean, but sometimes you see some weird looks that people look at you, but
or sometimes when you see another Asian, you're like.
Exactly, but there's not very many. Like my kids, when they started, they were the only Asian.
They teach Tagalog at home.
Oh, that's one thing that my kids blame us right now. Why we did not? They're not happy. No, we did not. Tagalog is although it's our national language, it's not our first dialect. It's Cebuano because we're from Cebu.
Okay, so how do you pronounce it?
Cebuano. Yeah, Cebuano.
Do they speak Cebuano?
So they don't.
So what happened?
But they took Tagalog for 4 years
in college.
In college, they took it.
So they can speak some now?
They can understand a few words.
They can understand, but they don't really speak because they're not exposed.
It's very hard to be fluent when you like.
That's right.
They don't have Filipino friends. They're all American friends.
They don't have friends.
Her boyfriend is American. My son's girlfriend is American.
Like when you go somewhere like up north like that, and there weren't a lot of Filipino ingredients. What kind of food did you guys cook?
I was gonna.
Well, when we have to improvise to be able to. And if I go home to the Philippines, I buy. And then we go downstate, there's some Filipino stores.
4 hours drive.
Asian store, 4 hours drive. And then we One way.
So when we go there, we obviously have to buy a lot. You're good for months.
And you like shopping.
And he still does. He still does. Yeah.
Oh, so
Isabel
you have
takes
to haul,
after
like,
him.
just bring a whole bunch of stuff back.
When you first got here, like, could you bring like Filipino food to the hospital and eat?
Oh, I want to know about that.
Yeah.
So, which hospital in northern Michigan?
No, the first one was
Milwaukee.
In Milwaukee?
Yeah.
In Milwaukee.
Did you
Oh my
did you eat
God,
Filipino food in the cafeteria?
There's no Filipino food in the cafeteria.
What did you eat? What did you bring? Did you learn how to cook Filipino food?
I did not cook.
Oh, so
I don't know how to learn how to cook. So beside the hospital, there's a Hardee's. Yeah, fried
It's like,
chicken.
fried chicken?
Yeah, I buy, and then there's food in the cafeteria, but we have to count our money because it's not enough to buy it. We thought it was so expensive because we always have to do the exchange thing from US to convert it. And then, of course, $13 per hour did not help at all. There was one evening I only ate Pringles for dinner.
because it was too
Our
expensive.
very first time.
Well,
Because we did not go to the grocery store. And that's what I had because my sister sent me Pringles from California. And then my mom called her and said, you got to send, they call me Sasa, you got to send Sasa food. She's starving over there now. And so my sister packed a box and sent food for me.
Oh, wow. So it was hard for you just to even think of how much the price, because when you think in like back home.
So
You're still converting. That's
We're
the
still
problem.
converting.
It
You're
took
still-
a while for her to.
It took a while for me
to move
to
on from that.
Mhm.
when was the first time that you cooked Filipino food and someone non-Filipino ate it?
Okay, so it's just me and a few of us that don't cook, but there's some Filipinos also that have learned how to cook. There are 10 of us.
Yeah.
So, and 2 of them have families already in Wisconsin. So we got invited. And so the family cook, and that's how we can.
That's how you get to eat it.
And of course, in fact, our landlord is American, our very first landlord. We stayed with him for 2 weeks, and he eventually married one of the Filipinas.
Oh my god.
That's another drama.
It's
Their lives are like K-drama. I can talk to you for hours. He's 40 years old, divorced with 4 kids.
And then
She
a
was
single.
not single. She was
He's engaged to be married.
She's engaged
She
to be
broke up.
married
And her fiance was in the Philippines.
in the
Yes, that's
Philippines.
correct.
Oh, heartbroken.
Oh, he came.
Oh, he came too.
Yeah.
To fight for her.
Yeah, and that's what's going on. And then, and Adela said, no, I'm in love with Steve. This 40-year-old Steve. 40, he's 45 years old.
How
at
old
that
was she?
time.
20.
26.
Yeah.
so like 14 years.
Did they make it?
Yeah, there's
Yeah,
there's
yeah,
2 kids.
yeah.
So he's got a total of 6 kids, but Snape looks very, very old.
Exactly.
They made it.
Still
Yeah,
the
they
one.
made it. Yeah, they have 2 kids.
Oh,
That's kind of interesting.
I know.
Like
love has no age.
poor Filipino
God.
fiance. So he just
Yeah.
went back.
Yeah.
Yeah. Are you in relationships? I should put you on the hot seat now. You've been on the hot seat for so long.
It's so fun. The conversation is it's actually really interesting. If you had to tell someone now who's in the Philippines to come that has aspirations to come to the US, what would be like your top 3 advice that you want to give them to prepare for successful transition to the US? Like what would be 3 advice you give them?
This is for nursing
Yeah, sure.
or any profession.
It can be anything, but you can be nursing as well.
Like to achieve the American dream.
Yeah.
To achieve. First of all, you really have to want to come here. You have to be resilient because, as I've said, when you come here, one thing that will hit you is loneliness. You're going to be lonely, you're going to be homesick. And number 2, work hard. You just have to work hard, no matter what. You will, not every place of work is ideal. You will experience a lot of negative, but you just have to be persistent that, I'll make it no matter what. Of course, before coming here, number 1, you got to study because there's going to be so many exams. They added more exams now to take to come here. It's not easy anymore to come here. Plus, of course, it's immigration thing. That's hard. And number 3, maybe you need to adapt well. Adaptability, you have to adapt well because you're no longer with a Filipino setting. You have patients that are from all walks of life, mostly, American, whatever. And not just your patients, but you have your co-workers that you have to deal with. You have your the whole thing. And you're just a little bit of a bigger picture. So you need to learn how to adapt well. And adaptability is very important, especially coming from a third world country, coming to this country.
Those are really 3 really good points.
Last of anything?
No, I agree with her. It's mainly that any obstacle that you encounter, you have to, that doesn't make you feel like, I've failed. You actually should be motivated more to find ways to solve the problem and reach the goal. Because in your journey here, you're going to encounter a lot of obstacles, and some you might consider failures. But we always think of, this happened, and I think we actually think the same, that this is an opportunity for a better situation, most likely, because this is not working. So that means there's a better situation that is probably going to happen for us.
Yeah.
So we don't really feel like, it's really down. So we might be disappointed, but
the bottom line, what really helped us? Our faith. Faith, prayer. Oh my God. You need to have love and pray. Yeah. Yeah. You have to have that one, right? We prayed. We prayed.
We pray for our kids,
we still pray for our kids. Yeah. We tell them we pray for you. Yeah.
So they would just say thank you, but because they're not really as serious about it.
And avoid situations that's gonna put you in an unideal situation. One perfect example, because of loneliness, you might get yourself involved with someone that's not
it's actually, there's a lot of stories like that, even Filipinos. They're married in the Philippines. By the time they come here, they find somebody.
Else.
Unfortunately, but mainly it's the biggest thing. It's loneliness.
You have to learn how to be true to yourself. I think that's the bottom line. Yeah, because when I came, you think there was so lonely. There was someone that was pursuing.
Yeah.
He was a doctor too.
You didn't need to support. He was already a doctor.
He's a doctor. No,
he was like me,
resident.
Applying, actually taking the exam first and then applying.
But working as a surgical assistant.
But he was making money.
Yeah, he was making money, driving a BMW.
Wow.
So the first time, this is the reason why he's so funny. The first time he saw me, he looked at me from
like, who are you? The one Vanessa chose.
Why?
Yeah. One day he asked me, my friend Lisa, called Troy and said, Troy, can you take us to this bridal boutique? Because I wanted my measurements taken to send it to him so he can have my gown, made over there. And then he thought it was Lisa's. And then he says, whose wedding? And Lisa said, Vanessa, she's getting married. And she says, she is? And then he told me, Vanessa, you broke my heart. I've never been. But I did not encourage him. He kept inviting me, and I kept saying no. I have a boyfriend, and he says, "But you're not married, And I said, "Yeah, it doesn't mean you got to be true to yourself. No matter how lonely you are, you want to date someone or you want to be with someone. No. That's not it."
That's amazing. Okay, last question. So this one doesn't have to be your first trip here, but any trips you've made to the Philippines. In your suitcase, what did you bring that would surprise the audience? That be like, it could be emotional, it could be practical, it could be something like that. Like, what was something that you brought in your suitcase? It could be spices, could be anything. When you came to the US, that would be like
the first time that I got
the first time. Yeah, like what was something that's interesting that you brought?
Should I bring anything interesting?
It doesn't even have to be the first time. It can be the next time or any time. So, for instance, Nan, when she went to Australia for her exchange, she took a pan to cook.
Frying pan,
like a wok.
Yeah.
Because I was like, I'm not gonna spend money like buying a pan when I'm there.
One from home.
I'm just gonna feed myself, and then it turned out like the house, they have everything, and I'm like, oh my god, why did I bring this pan?
Well, that's interesting. Oh my God.
So you have anything like that?
No, I only bring like, goodies over there.
I heard you say
dried mangoes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I bring dried mangoes because they like that. They like that here, right, hun? Yeah.
So that was for someone else.
That's for someone. Are you talking for me?
Yeah, for you.
Yeah.
Oh, what did I bring for me? I love food. So mostly it's just food. Maybe I was so deprived when I first came here of food. Maybe. I don't
Piece
know.
of home.
What about you?
No, I remember now actually. The one thing that I actually brought for sure that was really important on the second time that came back to the US after going to the Philippines was a cookbook, Filipino cookbook. Because I knew that